Alright guys, today we're talking about quadrilaterals. So if you want to label this really big, quadrilaterals, I am recording. You guys can check this out online if you really want. But here it is, quadrilaterals. And here's the deal. Now that we officially know what some of these things are called, we're going to start calling them by some of this stuff. Okay? So after today, we're going to start calling these what they actually are. So that's kind of the trouble with whatever vocabulary is, yeah. It's 9, so I'm off by a whole month. That's all right. That's not bad. If I'm only off, if that's the only error I make today, I think it'll be okay. Thank you for pointing that out, Mitchell. Okay, 9/8/2011. We're talking about quadrilaterals. And here's the deal. Each of these, in order to be whatever we're describing these things to be, there's very specific pieces to them, okay? Honestly, if you were to draw a quadrilateral, generally speaking, it's really hard to draw one of these specific ones, okay? We always think of these ones, but if you're just going to draw some random four-sided shape, that's not even, that doesn't work. That's 2 errors today, okay. If you're just draw some four-sided shape, generally speaking, that kind of looks like a trapezoid, actually. It's just going to be some shape. It's just going to have 4 sides. It's not going to have all these characteristics that we're talking about, okay? So the idea is the characteristics are what set these 6 apart from every single other thing that we're going to talk about, okay? So a regular quadrilateral is going to have a couple of characteristics, and then go from there. Actually, let's talk about a quadrilateral. Somebody tell me a characteristic of a quadrilateral. What do we have? Okay, it has 4 sides. There's 4 sides. I'm going to add to that. It also has 4 interior angles, correct? So 4 sides, 4 interior angles. What else? There's not a whole lot. If we were to, I'm going to write this down. The sum, this is still quadrilateral, the sum of the interior angles equals 360 degrees. Right? If we were to add up all 4 of the inside angles, right? All 4 inside angles, they're going to sum to 360 degrees. God bless you. And that works for every quadrilateral. If it's a square, think 90, 90, 90, 90. If it's a rectangle, 90, 90, 90, 90. Okay, those are fine. Okay? If it's a kite, it's still going to add up, but they're not all going to be 90s, right? If it's a trapezoid, it's still going to add up. It's still going to be 100, 360. So all quadrilaterals have 4 sides, 4 angles. That's the easy part. Sum of the interior angles is 360 degrees. Does everybody have those 2 things written down?
Yes.
So I'm going to erase them. 4 sides, 4 angles, and the sum of the interior angles is 360. Okay, first one, trapezoid. By definition, exactly one pair of parallel sides. That's it. Exactly 1 pair of parallel sides. Okay? That's all you need. If it had 2, it's called something else. If it had 0, well, it's not a trapezoid. Okay? So it has to have exactly 1 pair. And I'm going to draw 2 sketches. One is going to be like this. Okay? And if you want, you could make that a right angle if you wanted. Okay? And to draw one side as parallel to the other side, you'd write it like that. Okay? So a right angle like this, you can see a trapezoid look like this. Okay? Or you can see it kind of like this, like it's a triangle that's sort of been truncated. I'll draw it like this. Truncated means the top gets cut off, like decapitated. Okay? So there's 2 different trapezoids. Again, if there's going to be more than 1 set, we could probably draw double arrows on this if we really wanted. It has to have the same number of arrows. Okay? Arrows mean parallel. Arrows mean parallel. Are we okay with this?
Yeah.
Can we handle this?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah. All right. Kite. Okay. Kite has 2 pairs. There's actually more than 1 characteristic here. 2 pairs of congruent consecutive sides. That's 1 characteristic. 2 pairs of congruent consecutive sides. pairs of congruent consecutive sides. What does consecutive mean? What does consecutive mean? They're sort of maybe like in a row, like the numbers 1, 2, 3. If you're 2, 3 and 1 are consecutively like around you in a row. You could think of it as like next to. Wow, that's not how you spell next to. Next to, something like that. But each pair is consecutive. Okay? So the way this works is these two are congruent. Okay? And then as you draw these guys are congruent. Okay? So those are the ones that are consecutive. Like these two are right next to each other. These two are right next to each other. And you can imagine, hey, why do they call this thing a kite? Because it looks like a kite, right? Something like that.
Oh, that's nice.
Like someone's flying a kite.
That's actually a pretty good drawing.
Thank you. Okay.
I love it.
Okay. Parallelogram. Parallelogram. Hopefully this is easy. This, I'm going to put this over here. This is a slanted rectangle. I'm going to put that in parentheses, or in quotation marks. That's just the way I think of it. I think of it as a slanted rectangle. Okay? So unlike the trapezoid, which has just exactly one pair, it's going to have exactly two pair. Of parallel sides. Parallel sides. Another way of writing this is you could say opposite sides are parallel. That's the symbol for parallel. Opposite sides are parallel. Opposite sides are parallel. Exactly two pairs of parallel sides. You could also say opposite sides of parallel. The way you draw it, you guys know what a rectangle looks like. All we're going to do is we're going to sort of slant it so it looks, oh, you know what it looks like. That is terrible.
You did good until.
I'm gonna do that again. That's just terrible.
Just that one part was messed up.
It helps if I can actually see what I'm drawing here. That's not bad. That's not bad.
I like
okay? If you have lined paper, it's usually a little bit easier. Now we're going to draw a parallel. We're going to draw arrows on there. Am I done with the arrows? What else do I need to do? We got the right and left sides as well, right?
Other kid only two pairs.
Wait, I'm confused.
So the right is parallel to the left, and the top is parallel to the bottom.
Also, they're all four sides.
Well, you can't see all four sides because all four sides would look like this. All four sides have to be parallel. It's only the opposite sides of parallel. So these guys are opposites top and bottom, and the right and left are opposites as well.
Look at they also be quadrilateral.
All of these are quadrilaterals because they have four sides and four angles. So you're right. All of these are quadrilateral. Okay. So every single parallelogram is going to have this concept here. Additionally, I want to add one more thing to this. I know I didn't write this down. Opposite sides are also congruent. Opposite sides are congruent. So opposite sides are parallel. That's pretty obvious, but it's called a parallelogram. What does opposite sides congruent mean? It means they're the same. So like I could draw like two tick marks here, two tick marks here, one tick mark here, one tick mark there. Okay? It means they're going to be the same length. So like if this is 8 centimeters, this is 8 centimeters down. If this is 2 inches, I'm going to switch. This could be 2 inches. Okay? Something like that. Does that make sense? So the opposite sides are parallel. The opposite sides are also congruent. Can I keep talking about this? Can I add another characteristic on here?
Nah,
I'm
we
gonna
good.
anyway. So exactly two, like opposite sides are parallel. The opposite sides are congruent. I don't know where I'm going to put it. I'm going to put it right up here, I guess. It's kind of short, but it just goes down here. The opposite angles are also congruent. Opposite angles are congruent. Okay, so how do I draw that? Well, see how we have sort of like here's a small angle here. This angle is going to be congruent to this small angle up here. Okay? This big angle right here is going to be the same measurement as this big angle right here.
I don't get what that one eight.
What's that?
8.
8 centimeters. It didn't. It kind of didn't recognize my handwriting. 8 centimeters. Okay. Do you have a question? Yeah. Okay. So for every single parallelogram, opposite sides are congruent, opposite angles are congruent, and there's opposite angles or opposite sides are also parallel. Same. You take your foot off. Okay. Okay. 3 more. 3 more. Okay. Now here's the thing. All 3 of these are actually parallelograms. All 3 of these are parallelograms. Okay? But there's 2 more characteristics for each one of these that make them different than just any old parallelogram. So just like you could draw a parallelogram, well, these are a little bit more specific. Okay? So this is like a rhombus is like a slanted square. Okay, it's like a slanted square.
Oh no.
So the parallelogram is like a slanted rectangle. It's like a slanted square. Has exactly 2 pairs of parallel sides. We already talked about that. You know what? It's a parallelogram. I'm not going to write that down. I'm sorry. I'm writing it. It's a parallelogram. It already has that characteristic, right? Because every parallelogram is going to have exactly 2 pair of congruent parallel sides. I'm just going to write this. All sides congruent. All sides congruent. Okay? Because it inherits all the characteristics from a parallelogram. Because this is a parallelogram. But more specifically, it's also a rhombus. Okay? So when I draw this, okay, does it look like a parallelogram? It does, and it inherits all those characteristics of a parallelogram. So we could talk about how, the opposite sides are parallel. Okay, so opposite sides are parallel. Talk about how opposite angles are congruent. So like these guys and these guys. Okay. The only thing that makes it a little bit different is now all sides are congruent. So I'm going to put like 1 tick mark on each one of these, like so. Okay. All sides are congruent as opposed to just the opposite sides being. So just a little bit more specific.
Wait.
If we have a test over this, if you want us to draw a rhombus, we have to put all that crap on.
You have to put all the crap on the rhombus. Yes.
Wait, after T.
If it says draw a rhombus, it'll want you to draw the crap as well. It'll also probably when I would do it on a test, like list the characteristics of a rhombus. You say it has 4 sides, it has 4 angles. It has the interior angle, 360 degrees. Opposite sides are parallel, opposite sides are congruent, and opposite angles are congruent as well. All sides are congruent. So you just look at all 6 of those characteristics. It needs all the crap.
If they're all even, then why like just one corner have the one little half circle and the other one has 2 half circles? I'm so confused.
Because the sides are congruent. The sides are congruent. The angles aren't that. See how this is? It's like a small angle here, small angle here. Isn't that a much bigger angle there? That's an obtuse angle. This is an obtuse angle.
Oh.
The idea is that it's slanting, it's having to make up for it. So is this one, if it was a square, it'd be 90, 90, 90, 90, right? If it's a little bit less than 90, this one makes up for it.
So is that one in that corner a bit 2 of them? It's kind of like.
Yeah, there's actually 2 of them. Okay. If you really want to know, consecutive angles are are supplementary. I'm gonna write it that way. Consecutive angles are supplementary. So how that works is if this is 60 degrees, this one has to be 120 because they have to add up to 180. If this one's 120, well, this one has to be 60. If this one's 60, this one has to be 120. So consecutive sides of angles as you go around have to be supplementary. So I added yet another characteristic. You wouldn't on a test because you don't really.
Make sure you just write all like
Notice again that all four of these angles, if we were to add them all up, all four of these angles, what do they all add up to? 360. It needs to add up to 360. Tim, what do you need? Huh?
the teacher sitting down here. What's this one supposed to be? These right here. These are all meanings, right?
What's the other directions?
It says right solve the placing from value of that.
Just show the notes. It's just like the test question.
Sorry.
When we did test stuff, exactly like this. Okay, show them that. Rectangle. Rectangle, guys. We're almost there. Equiangular. So it's a parallelogram that's equiangular. Okay? So, when we draw this, I'm going to try to leave enough space here. That's not good at all. Okay. Opposite sides are parallel, right? So that looks like this.
All four. I mean, all four.
We're going to get there. Wait, if all four of them had two, then it would have to look like this. That's the only way all four sides are parallel. It's opposite sides are parallel. Okay? So then, opposite sides are parallel. Opposite sides are congruent, so that's like this and like this. Okay? Let's test this out. Opposite angles are congruent, so this is 90, this is 90, this is 90, this is 90, and it's equiangular. Okay? Does it also hold true that the opposite angles are congruent?
Yeah.
Yeah, they sure are, because they're 90 degrees. Are consecutive angles supplementary?
Yeah.
They sure are.
So it's a right angle.
Do all the interior angles add up to 360 degrees?
Pretty sure.
They sure do. They're all 90. Okay. Last one, it's a square. Square. All I'm going to write down here is that it's a quadrilateral. So it has all the characteristics of a quadrilateral. It's also a parallelogram. So it has all the characteristics of a parallelogram. It's also a rectangle. So it has all the characteristics of a rectangle. It's also a rhombus, so it has all the characteristics of a rhombus. You can also say over here that it's regular. It's a regular quadrilateral. Okay. So when we draw this, holy smokes. You always thought the square was like the easiest quadrilateral. It's actually the hardest one. Okay? Opposite sides are parallel. Got it. Okay, there's four sides, four angles were there. It's equiangular.
Wait, squares are even.
Squares all have the same side length. They're equilateral. They're equiangular. All these angles are supplementary. Their opposite angles are congruent. I could even go through and talk about the diagonals if I really wanted to, but I'm not going to.
That is a lot.
There's a lot of stuff going on there. Okay? So here's the deal. Once you have these down, and I think we should start practicing these just a little bit. Once we have these things down, what I want to do is, when we start seeing these, you know what? This is really strange. This actually should be on parallelogram. It's also for all three of these, because all three of those are parallelograms.
So does it go for rhombus too, though?
It does as well, because a rhombus is a rectangle. Yeah. Okay. So here's the deal. There's a hierarchy diagram. Okay. And you can draw this however you want, but we're gonna start at the top. There's these different characteristics that go on with these because they inherit. Okay. Like you might have seen this for your family. Okay. Your family. Very top, we're gonna write the word quadrilateral.
I knew it.
Yes, you are. Okay. Quadrilateral. So what happens here for a quadrilateral, again, what we said is the characteristics for a quadrilateral is there's going to be 4 sides, 4 angles, correct? What was the other characteristic of a quadrilateral? Sum of the interior angles equals 360 degrees. Okay. I'm abbreviating a little bit. So every single thing underneath this will have 4 sides and 4 angles. Does everybody agree with that? Yeah. And the sum of the interior angles for every single thing below quadrilateral will also have the sum of the interior angles equals 360. Every single thing underneath it, correct? Okay. This one's a kite. Okay. What's the characteristic for a kite? Two pairs of consecutive, I'm abbreviating that, consecutive sides congruent. I'm sort of refreshing so everyone sees this. Okay. Trapezoid.
Wait, so we don't have to write the definition? Just write the word.
I'm reviewing this for you guys so you can see it all. So if I was to list all the characteristics of a kite, how many characteristics are there? There's 3. Here's number 1. Here's number 2. Here's number 3. Okay. What's the characteristic for a trapezoid? What makes a trapezoid different than every other quadrilateral? Okay. It has 1 pair of, let's see, parallel sides. I'm just going to write that one. 1 pair of parallel sides. Okay. What goes here? Parallelogram. That's fun spot to put all these characteristics. Okay. So the third characteristic for a parallelogram. It's a parallelogram. Parallelogram. What's parallel in a parallelogram? Opposite sides. So opposite sides parallel. Ooh, I'm gonna write that. Okay. Fourth characteristic. What else about the opposite sides? Opposite sides are what? Opposite sides are also congruent. Okay. Fifth characteristic. I'm gonna run out of room here. The opposite angles are congruent as well. And the sixth characteristic for a parallelogram, which is 6 total, is that one that I had to move. I'm sorry that I had to move it. Consecutive angles are supplementary. Alright, we're moving down this tree here. Okay. Every parallelogram, not every parallelogram. We'll put a rhombus over here. We'll put a rectangle over here. The very bottom is a square. Okay, rhombus. Okay, rhombus is going to inherit the 2 characteristics of a quadrilateral, correct? It's also going to inherit these other 4 characteristics as well, so it has a total of 6. What makes a rhombus a rhombus? Well, the 7th characteristic is that it's equilateral. Okay, so all sides congruent means that it's equilateral. Okay, rectangle, how many characteristics is it going to have?
8.
It'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It is a parallelogram, so its 7th characteristic is that it's equiangular. the square, there's nothing new about a square. It just kind of basically comes together. It's like the child of a rhombus and a rectangle. So it'll inherit four sides, four angles. It'll have some interior angles. Some is 360. The opposite sides are parallel. Opposite sides are congruent. Opposite angles are congruent. Consecutive angles are supplementary. It'll be equilateral. It'll be equiangular. It'll have a total of 8 characteristics. And believe me, I skipped a few because there are some others dealing with their diagonals being perpendicular, and it's a huge mess. We're not going to talk about it. Okay? What I've done in the past, is as a class, for like the first 5 minutes of class, what I'd do is I'd have somebody stand up, so stand up for a second. Few of these characteristics memorized. Okay? Tell me the 2 characteristics of a quadrilateral.
Four sides and four angles, and they all have 360.
Some of the interior angles is 360. Then I'd have you sit down. I'd have somebody else, Zach Sanders, stand up. And we would just go through these, and I'd say, Zach, name the 7 characteristics of a rhombus.
Well.
And you basically just go through them based on your memory. Then I'd have you sit down. Okay? Then I'd have Sierra stand up. I'd say, Sierra, stand up. Give me the 3 characteristics of a kite. And you'd tell me, and you'd sit down. I'd say, Britt, stand up. Give me the 8 characteristics of a square. You'd name all 8 of them, and you'd sit down. Okay? And we would just kind of go around the room for about 5 minutes, and we just kind of go based on all these different things. Okay? This is straight memorization. Okay? I think the chart helps because it helps you realize that the quadrilateral has 2 parallelograms. Going to have these 2 and these other 4, so it's a total of 6. Rectangle is going to have these 2, these 4, and another 1 to make 7. This one's going to have a total of 8. It just sort of inherits everything above it.
I don't have 8.
Because it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, but it's also a rhombus, so that's 8.
Oh.
That's a total of 8. Does that make sense?
Hey, what does INT mean again?
Interior angles. Okay? Can you handle that? Okay? So that's something that you guys can keep studying. So if ever I say, hey, there's no homework tonight, there is homework. You're going to have to memorize these. Okay? Still with notes. This is the last page. I promise. This is the last page. Okay. Draw an example of each. Include proper and accurate markings. Turn the pages from your notes. Turn to a brand new page. I want you to do these. I want you to be able to do this on your own. Brandy, what does a kite look like? Yeah. Yes, what does it look like? Does it look like my box kite back there?
No.
No, it doesn't. It's a box kite right there, hanging from the ceiling. It's a box kite.
What's a box?
That's a box kite.
You stupid, right?
What is it like?
It flies like a kite,
It's a kite.
but it looks like a box.
Those have you.
I have not flown that one, but I have flown a box kite before.
I've seen one look like that, but I didn't know what it was.
So a kite.
Oh, Barbie.
Kite. Looks like this. Looks like this. A lot of people, I'm glad you guys are resisting this. Do not call this a diamond. It is not a diamond. Diamonds are on like rings and necklaces and stuff like that. This is not a diamond. I don't know if you learned this in middle school. If a middle school teacher ever said diamond, you should tell them no. That's a kite. It's actually a kite. What makes it a kite is that consecutive sides are congruent. Consecutive sides are congruent. Okay, part B, rectangle. You guys can do this. I want you guys to do this. Okay. If you just draw this, are you anywhere close to all 7 characteristics? No, you're not. By the way, a kite had 3 characteristics. This will have 7 characteristics. Okay? 2 of them are 4 sides, 4 angles, and then the sum of interior angles is 360. Okay? What else is there? Okay, we gotta do the arrows, right? Because opposite sides are parallel.
And you have to do those lines up the 2 lines.
Oh, we gotta do these guys over here too, sorry. We gotta do the 2 lines here. Say that opposite sides are congruent. Okay? Consecutive angles are supplementary. We got that on there. Opposite angles are congruent. That should be it.
Yay, I'm getting 90s.
Okay? Trapezoid. 3 characteristics. Okay. 4 sides, 4 angles. 1 set of parallel sides, 2 parallel sides. That's it. Trapezoid. Part 4. The rhombus. Rhombus has 7 characteristics. It's like a slanted square. 4 sides, 4 angles. Oh wait, they're all the same. Parallelogram, slanted. Wow, is that? I guess we need to erase this. This is like drawing below me. Like drawing at the waist is kind of tough. Is that okay? Okay, there should be 6 characteristics here. Finally, a square. It's going to have all of them. I'm going to draw a real big square. You should be able to do this on your own at any given point in time. You can anticipate that there'll be a pop quiz at some point.
A pop quiz.
I think it would look exactly like this page, I would imagine.
Ooh, maybe it'll be fun. That would be a sad joke.
Your pop quiz would look a lot like this page, I would think. 6 questions, but you know what? You know how many points there'd be for this? There'd be a lot of points. You have to have all these symbols up there. Yes, sir. Okay. A rhombus and a parallelogram. See this mark right here? That's 1 mark and 1 mark? 2 marks and 2 marks, right? A rhombus is a type of parallelogram. The only thing that makes it different is this is equilateral. All 4 of these sides are congruent. The slant square, all 4 sides are congruent. Is that okay? A rhombus is a parallelogram. It's a type of parallelogram. Okay? So if I always draw a parallelogram that looks like a slanted rectangle, and just to be more specific, I just bring that in to make it a rhombus. This rectangle, or this is a parallelogram, this is a rhombus. Okay? Right, you guys should be able to do that at any point in time. Even if I stop in the middle of class and say, hey, we're doing this right now, we could take a quiz then. Be ready.